Hi guys, pardon me. I wanted to talk about fantastic literature for kids. I grew up on a farm and I was homeschooled, and one of the ways that I kept myself entertained was with reading, and my parents were super careful about what we were allowed to read. We weren't allowed to read any kind of fiction until my parents had read it. And this was because they didn't want to be seeding our minds with fiction that was not based in the real world. They wanted it to be based in something that would teach honor and integrity. It was very Thomas Jefferson education-esque. Anything you were going to read needed to have a purpose. And so we were allowed to read fiction, but it had to be valuable fiction. We weren't allowed to read about witchcraft. We weren't allowed to read about romance, no smuttiness, nothing like that. And the reason I'm thinking about this now is because Paige has self-motivated her own little heart to read the Chronicles of Narnia. We've been listening to it for the last 2 years, and now that she's becoming a more competent reader, she has started to take those books to bed with her at night to read them, because she loves them so much. And so we love Chronicles of Narnia. Anything that just teaches empowerment and respect and honor, and that you earn your way through life. It isn't just handed to you on a platter. You're not by right going to be given everything that you want. And along that line, I wanted to share my ultimate favorite book from when I was a young girl. The Swiss Family Robinson. It has to be this edition. It has to be the Educator Classics Library. My parents bought this whole set from a secondhand store when I was a kid. I think it cost her $10 to get all of them. And this was the one that I loved the most. There were others, there were like Pinocchio and other things like that. But this was the only one that I absolutely clung onto and I adored. And the reason is, it is more like a dictionary than just a fiction. It has zoology, it has biology, it has animal husbandry, it has carpentry. Everything that they talk about in the book, they have defined on the side. Why making wine works the way that it does, and throughout the whole book it talks about how they took the raw resources that they had from the land and turned it into a home, and turned it into food, and turned it into animals that were useful for them. And when I was in my early 20s, I was really sick, and having read books like this really helped me to get through that period, because I went outside and I built. I went outside and I played with my animals, and I tried to teach them useful things, and I gardened, and I took things that were not useful and I turned them into something useful. I went and collected sagebrush. I tamped sticks into the ground, and then I made myself a windbreak out by pushing sagebrush up against these sticks I put in the ground, and then wrapping them with baling twine so that it created a windbreak for my little camp, my little world, where I took rocks and old cinder blocks I could get from my dad and made myself a little outdoor oven. I went and stole an old shelf out of my bedroom that was wire and put it on top of that, and that was where I had my little cooking space. And then I went and made a semi-subterranean silish, which is you dig a hole in the ground, you take willows, stick them in the ground, meet them over the top, tie them off, and then you take cob, which is mud and straw, and you plaster that over the top of the willows to create yourself a shelter. I took twine and made myself a hammock under trees, and when I found that I liked the hammock but it wasn't as comfortable out of twine, I went and spent 20 bucks and got a real hammock. But living outside and having all that good energy from my animals and from nature helped me to have a desire to live during a time that I was very sick and very sad, and I guess I'll say depressed because of my illness. I felt like I couldn't get on with my life. So during hard times, when there's no money and when there's a lack of natural resources and you feel stuck, it's having read literature like this that really gave me the push to say, no, there's got to be solutions, because this book is full of solutions. They went and took natural wild land that could have been really scary, especially where they had young children, and turned it into a paradise because they trusted in God. They had faith in their own ability to overcome obstacles, and they succeeded. It's a fantastic book, but it's not the huge resource and inspiration without the pictures. So, Swiss Family Robinson by Johann Weiss. Make sure it's the Educator Classics Library. This one was totally trashed, and I still got it. It was $12. I don't know if they're out of print, but you can find them on eBay and Amazon, I believe. So, fantastic book to have in your library for your children, whether or not you homeschool. I will read it to them the first time so that I can explain things, and then after that I will turn it over to them and let them explore it because it is fantastic. It is on par with the Chronicles of Narnia. And what are some other ones? Oh, I have some others that are just fantastic too. Anyway, I'm trying to go through my library of books to show you guys my most inspiring reads. So, I love you guys. We'll talk to you later.